WCIAK Plus. With Taylor Mitchell. This is Chat with the Chief.
Welcome back to another episode of Chat with the Chief. I'm your host, Taylor Mitchell. Today we are joined by Deputy Chief Kevin Olmstead with the Champaign Police Department. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and talking about getting up early, you told me earlier that you get up at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
What is that about? Who chooses to get up at 3:30 in the morning? I have to.
Yeah.
You choose to get up at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, there are times where I wake up a little bit earlier. There are times where I sleep in till 4:30, but 3:30 is my typical time that I get up. I like to start my day early. I like to get moving. Physical fitness is very important to me. I think that, it's more than just physical fitness. It's mental well-being. It plays into, my wellness, and I just think it's very important to do that every day.
Have you always your whole life been very active? Is fitness important to you your whole life?
Yeah, from a very young age, I was always involved in sports. I've continued to work out my entire life. I've enjoyed playing basketball. I work out all the time, but yeah.
And how does that kind of translate into your job?
Well, I think and this is one of the things I tell new officers when they get into profession. Officer wellness is, when I got hired, back in 2006, it really wasn't talked about as much, just officer wellness as it is now. We now understand that it's a lot more important, especially for the duration of one's career. And part of that, it's just not about talking about things. It's also about keeping yourself physically fit, because the physical fitness does play into your mental well-being, and it helps alleviate stresses that, officers are encountering every day on the job.
Totally. Yeah, we can definitely get more into officer wellness. But you have been with the Champaign Police Department, you said, for over 19 years. Is that right?
About 19 and a half.
Okay, so take me back. What got you into law enforcement? And then kind of tell me about your journey and all the positions you've held over that time.
Yeah, so I developed an interest in high school. I had a classmate that started doing ride-alongs with the county that I'm from, the sheriff's department. I did a few ride-alongs, and I was kind of hooked, and I really thought that was something I could do, long-term. And, I've taken it and run with it. Once I finally got into law enforcement, it was a lot more competitive back in the day. I remember showing up to Follinger Auditorium, and there were hundreds of people, vying for just, a few positions. I was hired with 2 other people, and of the 3 that were hired in my class, I'm the only one that's remaining. So both of them have moved on to other law enforcement careers. One's actually with the Border Patrol, and one's actually in a northern suburb. So,
wow. Okay, so then talk a little bit about all of the other positions that you've held. I know you said that you've done SWAT. You did detective. Kind of tell me, your career.
Yeah, no. So, I have done a lot in the department. I would have liked to have done some more things. I was never a crime scene tech. That's something that I wish maybe I would have gotten into, but just based on my career trajectory, it just never happened. Like most people, I started off in patrol as patrol officer, developed my basic skills, had opportunity to go to the community action team, which was a street-level proactive unit that was designed to deal with problems in specific neighborhoods. And helped community members out there deal with the problems that they were experiencing, make their just quality of life better. Following that, like you had mentioned, I was able to become a detective, further develop my investigation skills, and develop new relationships with other agency staff. Because one crime that happens, the chances of a crime happening in just Champaign, it crosses most of the time jurisdictional borders. So into Urbana, into the U of I, into the county. So a lot of our detectives, a lot of our personnel, work with the other agencies quite frequently. So that was something within investigations that I started to develop. After I became a detective, I had the opportunity to promote to become a sergeant. I was patrol sergeant for about 3 years. During that time, I supervised our K-9. That was another position that I never held, but I got to supervise that unit for a short time. Which further provided me with new insights into the operations of that unit and the department overall. I supervised our firearms cadre. Actually became a master's firearms instructor at the Police Training Institute. Not something that I had originally ever thought that I would become when I started my career, but, I've tried to get myself into as much as possible within the department to make myself as well-rounded as possible. Skipping back, to detective, I was actually on the United States Marshals Task Force as well, which was a new position for our department. At that time, we currently still do have a member on our department on that task force, as well as many other federal task force, which is nice. That's one thing that I think is really great about the Champaign Police Department. There are a lot of opportunities within our department rather than just patrol, which I think is huge for us because it gives people the opportunity to do different things throughout their career. Getting back on my my trajectory in the department, after I became a patrol sergeant. Again, I worked patrol for quite a while, 3 years. Well, I shouldn't say quite a while, 3 years, but it seems like that's kind of the time span that I've spent on most things. I became a patrol lieutenant. Or no, sorry, let me skip back. I'm getting kind of all out of whack here.
You're fine. Go for it.
I had the opportunity to become the special events and alcohol coordinator, which, that opened me up to a whole lot of different things that I had never even considered before. Working with other city departments on a whole nother level, our city legal department, our city manager's office, the mayor. That really kind of was definitely a lot more of an administrative role that I hadn't played or that I hadn't been a part of up until that point. I was only in that role for about 6 months. When I had another opportunity to advance, it seems like I had a lot of, I hit a lot of opportunities just based on, where I was at in the department and just the things that were going on with, people leaving and retiring. But I had an opportunity to become a detective sergeant, and, I really liked my time investigations, and I went there, did that for another 6 months, and I had another opportunity. I had tested for lieutenant. I was able to be promoted to a lieutenant. I spent some time on patrol before becoming the professional standards lieutenant, which oversees our complaint process. So those are the complaints that are filed by citizens and the internal investigation that the department initiates based on information that we may have within the department. In that role, I further developed administratively because that position really requires you to develop a deep understanding of your policies and procedures. Knowing what what our role is and how that plays into the officers' responses, and the perceptions that citizens have. One thing that I really developed in that role that is communication skills. Speaking with the community members and really listening to their complaints. A lot of times, I've found that the situation is just a breakdown in communication, whether it was maybe the citizen wasn't understanding what was going on at the time, the officer maybe didn't explain it as thoroughly as they could have, or they did, it just wasn't, communicated in a way that maybe the community member maybe understood. Communication is so critical in our line of work. I mean, just as it's obviously your line of work, but if you can't communicate effectively, there's just a breakdown, and things can go very badly without an understanding between the people that are involved in a given situation. It can lead to uses of force. It can lead to complaint investigations. But in that position, I also worked with the Citizen Review Subcommittee, which is a board within the city that hears the formal complaint investigation. So we present the complaints to that board, and they get to weigh in on the investigation and what they think maybe went wrong with that incident, and they can provide recommendations to the chief of police on the outcome of that investigation. So, that was a really good experience for me for developing into the further roles that I've had now, both as a deputy chief of operations, which is our patrol division, and then now as my role in administration, which oversees the Office of Professional Standards, so the lieutenant that does those complaint investigations. But,
very cool. Okay, so is there a specific unit or position that you've enjoyed the most?
I mean, I really did. Like I said, I mean, the community action team was really good because there were community members in those neighborhoods that were really just kind of fed up with the crime and the order maintenance issues that were ongoing in those neighborhoods, and it was really nice to be able to get some resolution for those neighbors. But I mean, I really enjoyed my time on SWAT, and even now, even though I'm not actively on the street, responding to calls for service, I do get a deep sense of satisfaction out of trying to make the department better, provide the officers with the training and equipment and resources that they need to respond effectively for community services.
Very cool. Okay, well, I think we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about our officer wellness and what keeps him motivated. You won't want to miss it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chat with the Chief. I'm your host, Taylor Mitchell, talking with the Champaign Police Deputy Chief Olmstead. Thank you again for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
It's been nice to get to know you. I loved starting off by talking about how you get up so early every day, and you talked about just how important it is to physically, stay fit while on the job, and I'm sure a lot of that plays into your mental health as well. So kind of talk about the importance of officers staying active, staying fit, and mentally stable.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's critical, not just for law enforcement, but I think people in general. I would like to see more people working out overall. Right. I mean, I think it would help so many different things, throughout our country, if everybody was more active, because it does play into mental well-being. If you look at the number of critical incidents that an officer responds to in their career, I mean, that does take a toll over a 20, 25, 30-year career. And if you're not taking care of yourself physically, chances are there might be some mental components that you're not taking care of as well. So I just think it's best to take a holistic approach. If you're taking care of your physical fitness, chances are your mental well-being is going to be there as well.
It seems like you have a pretty good routine. Maybe somebody wants some advice on how to, start their day. Can you kind of walk us through what your mornings look like, and maybe some of the activities or workouts that you find helpful?
Yeah, no. So I like to run. I've always been a runner. I didn't have track in high school, but if I probably would have done it. I played baseball instead. But so I alternate between doing cardio and doing weight training. I like free weights. I'm not a big fan of machines, but I typically will try to do some sort of cardio 3 to 4 times a week, and alternate that with weight training.
Is this every day?
Pretty much, yeah. It's and I try to do everything in moderation. I mean, I think life is about moderation.
Of course.
I've never done a marathon. I never intend to do a marathon.
Right.
Nothing against those people that do marathons. It's just I think that does put a lot of wear and tear in your body, and I like to try to just do things a little bit more moderately.
And how important is getting your sleep? I mean, you said that you wake up at almost around 3:30, and sleeping in is 4:30. Oh my goodness! And here I am. I mean. Yeah, I wake up early too, but I don't choose to.
Yeah, my wife doesn't much care for it, and she understands how my thoughts on physical fitness, and
right.
She usually is up by about 4:30, 5 o'clock as well.
Good for her.
Typically bedtime is between 8:30 and 9.
Great.
I probably need to get a little bit more sleep than I do, but I definitely try to get about 7 hours.
Oh man, you are disciplined, and then I'm sure in return you're eating healthy, and that just keeps you in shape and ready. Your mind is focused when you're ready to go to work, and I'm sure that plays a really big part in your day, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool.
Yep.
Well, moving on, you have been in law enforcement for almost 20 years now. How have you seen things change over time? I'm sure technology has been a big thing. I know you were talking about how it is a little bit less competitive now, getting into law enforcement. So just kind of tell me some of the big differences you see today.
Yeah, no, I mean, things have changed so much, and I would assume that every officer towards the latter parts of their career probably says that, but it does seem like there have been so many technological advancements. I mean, when I first started, we did actually have in-car cameras. They were the old tapes that you had to erase on a magnetic machine, and I mean it was kind of archaic, obviously, but that was the technology at the time. Didn't have body-worn cameras. Now we obviously have body-worn cameras and in-car cameras that are a lot higher resolution, capture everything. And body-worn cameras, I know there was actually a lot of resistance from officers at first, but
I know.
There are a lot. I mean, most officers, I would not want to go out on the street right now if I did not have one.
Yep. My dad says the same thing.
They protect officers, almost all of the time. I mean, it's amazing, when you go back and you look at it, it's like, no, this is actually what happened.
Right, because it's just,
I mean,
it protects the other person too,
Yeah.
not even the officer,
Yeah.
but you guys are both protected.
Yeah, I mean, it's paramount for, both accountability and transparency. And, I mean, the vast majority of officers are out there doing a, outstanding job every day of their career. I mean, we are human. Sometimes we do make mistakes, but, I mean, it's up to us to fix. And a lot of times it's just a training issue. But I do believe that, officers overall, they're out there for the right reason, trying to help the community and everybody in it.
Yes, I do remember when they mandated every officer and deputy to be wearing body-worn cameras, and there was a lot of resistance. I remember having conversations with my parents, like, what does this mean? But the video doesn't lie.
No, and that's and yeah, it's not just body-worn cameras. I mean, video overall. I mean, the amount of video surveillance that's actually out there, both private and public now. I mean, the University of Illinois, you can't really go anywhere on campus without being on a video camera,
Right.
Or in the general public, because every cell phone, it's out there, and chances are somebody's recording something at some point. But looking at DNA, I mean, DNA, the advancements that have occurred with that,
Yeah.
and just forensics overall. And then of course you have crime shows like CSI, that sensationalize it and raise the expectations. But I mean, I think overall, I mean, everything that's occurred has made law enforcement so much better. I mean, it does take a lot more funding and training to, accomplish the same goal because of that, but we're getting a lot better outcomes now.
Very cool.
With more certainty.
Of course. And this is also the same with my dad. He said, when he started in the police academy, it was super competitive. Like, it was very hard to be able to get into the police department. Did you find that was also, when you started, the same situation? Because I'm not sure if it's just people are now like scared to go into law enforcement or what all of that's about, but they are also seeing less and less people sign up.
Yeah, I think that's actually maybe starting to shift a little bit again. I think it ebbs and flows. I mean, I think that there have probably been those cases, or times in the past where recruitment and applications have probably dipped. But I do see that that's probably starting to rebound now.
Good.
It's obviously everything that happened back in 2020 adversely impacted law enforcement for a while. But I do see that there is an increase in interest again, which is great to see, because it is so vital to the community.
Totally.
And I know there's a lot of people that have interest in the community engagement, and a department like Champaign. I mean, we are all about community engagement. We want to try to engage the community as much as we possibly can. So
That's incredible. Totally right. And shifting gears, you were on 5 different subcommittees discussing the Safety Act. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the Center for Effective Public Policy reached out and requested volunteers to be on a subcommittee to address the Safety Act and the implications on law enforcement. And the subcommittees were comprised of both law enforcement and policy groups. And these 5 different subcommittees. There's decertification, body-worn cameras, use of force, training, and reporting. Those 5 different subcommittees met, and there were each subcommittee had different members on it. There were a few subcommittees that had the same members on it, whether it be the policy groups or law enforcement. I think I may have been the only law enforcement officer in the state that was on all 5 of the subcommittees. I had volunteered. I didn't expect to get on all 5, but I did. I thought it was very helpful, and we worked with the law enforcement worked with the policy groups to discuss the implications on the Safety Act and how it's impacted law enforcement, both positively and negatively, and tried to come up with ideas on how we could improve the various parts of the Safety Act.
And can you explain a little bit? I know we talk about the Safety Act all the time, but maybe for people who aren't familiar, can you explain what the Safety Act is?
Yeah, so the Safety Act, it created new mandates, training mandates for law enforcement, new reporting requirements, and statutes, that law enforcement must now, not cooperate with.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, conform to, and meet. Which, going back to, differences between, when I started my career to now, we actually have, a set number of training mandates, which is great, because back when I started, it's like, if you put in for a training class, you got to go. But now we're required to go to training, on various topics, regularly, whether it's, annually or 3 or 5 year intervals, which is good because, law enforcement is continuing to evolve. We need to continue to sharpen our skills, and these training mandates help ensure that we're keeping officers trained and up to date on their responses, and effectively responding to the needs of the community. But then there are some of the other various things, the body-worn cameras and how they've played a role. And, obviously, the Champaign Police Department's had body-worn cameras, well before the Safety Act was implemented, but a lot of these agencies have not. And there's still some confusion maybe with some of these agencies. The Champaign Police Department's done a really good job, and I think, our agency is extremely transparent. I mean, if you go to our website, we have information on just about any program we have. For instance, body-worn cameras. During this body-worn camera subcommittee, I mentioned that, our department actually has a frequently asked questions page. It describes what our body camera program is and the transparency overall of the program. And, that was one of the things that this subcommittee picked up on and was a recommendation that, more agencies follow suit and, put that information on their web pages as well.
Are there any other outcomes from that subcommittee that came from it?
Yeah, so with each of those subcommittees, we did come up with recommendations that are going to be provided to a working group, and that working group will be responsible for working with legislators to develop possible improvements.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, well, we are going to take one final break, and when we come back, final thoughts with the Champaign Police Department. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Final thoughts with the Champaign Police Department. It has been so good to get to know you. We're, excited to talk to the Champaign Police Department. So wrapping things up, can you tell me kind of future goals for yourself and maybe the Champaign Police Department?
Well, I don't know about my future goals. Obviously retirement, it's sometime in the future. I'm not thinking about it too heavily, but, I've always been a person that's wanted to leave things better than I found them. And, that is my goal with the police department. I want the police department to be the best that it possibly can be. And, whether it's training, whether it's our policies, whether it's our officer wellness, my goal, I guess, is, I started at Champaign and I want to end at Champaign. And I don't know if that'll be me ending as a deputy chief or maybe even the chief, but maybe someday. One of the things that we've done a lot better on the last several years is working collectively with the other departments. I mean, we train with the fire department now. We talk about our training future with the fire department, the other city departments, neighborhood services, public works, planning. We meet regularly with those other departments, and we problem solve. And I think that's, says a lot about our community and city management, and our city council. I think that our goals for the community are in the right direction, and overall, I think that the city of Champaign is doing an outstanding job as the city continues to grow. Because the city of Champaign, it is one of the communities in Illinois that continues to grow despite the losses throughout the state, and that says a lot.
Very cool. Sounds like some amazing goals you have. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Chat with the Chief. We hope that we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Well, we are wrapping up this week's Chat with the Chief. Next week, we're going to be talking to someone close to you. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm your host, Taylor Mitchell. Have a good week.